Yeah, let's just kick this off. This will be the first time that I've ever done this with someone here. We did an extensive background check before I let you into the shed quarters.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Ladies and gentlemen, my guest today is Ryan Hager. Thank you so much for joining the show, man.
Man, thanks for having me out here in Sheddy Vetter. I'm glad to be here. It's great.
Awesome.
Can't think of anywhere else I'd rather be right now.
Especially not right now.
No.
Because this is air conditioned.
It is.
So it's
it
good.
feels good.
Ryan's got a brand new album out, Treading Water, that he just recorded. And you went to Norman, Oklahoma to do the majority of this at Bell Labs studio?
I did, yeah.
Recording?
Bell Labs with Trent Bell. And Trent and I became friends almost a decade ago when I recorded with the band Radio Republic.
Oh, yeah.
We cut that album there, and it turned out killer. And we went in and we had no preconceived notion of what, because we were referred to Trent by Mike McClure.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and so when we went in and we just kind of hit it off with Trent, and then when we got the finished product, we're like, well, so this is how it's supposed to sound,
yeah.
you know, and I'd always threatened to go back, and so I did.
You keep your threats.
Yeah, I did. I made good on it. So I went back and recorded it up there, and it turned out killer, and it was a really good time because he and I had, become, friends. It was just nice going back and kind of having a reunion and getting it done.
Yeah, and having a good relationship with your producer is everything.
Yeah,
because you can really communicate with them and not worry about what you're saying.
Right.
It's a lot better whenever you can flow a conversation. So you use studios from the area?
Musicians, yeah.
Yeah, musicians from out there.
I did.
Did you know any of them before you went in, or
no?
Is this all
I
just new to you?
I knew of a few of them.
Okay.
And it was just at the time, obviously there was no quarantine or shutdown going on, so I was lucky that they weren't out on the road. They were actually at home, and they were able to come in and track on some of this stuff. So I think there was a bunch of guys that played on it, but between all of them, I think there were 2 or 3 Grammys.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, so it was it's pretty good.
Star-studded
company.
cast.
Yeah, pretty good company. And one of the guys, he may not even want me to say, and I won't even say his name, which guy it was, but he had Elton John's phone number in his cell phone.
You got to tell me who that is. Come on.
Yeah. I'll tell you off camera. But
that's awesome, man.
Let's just call him. We'll see what he's doing.
Just send him a picture of a candle in the wind. Come on, do something. Let's do it. Yeah. So that's amazing. So you got to work with a star-studded cast on the album. Whenever you went in, did you have every tune ready to go? Did you have to change things out, or was it already there? You just laid out some tracks?
No, so we Trent and I did pre-production remotely.
Yeah.
So I just sent him acoustic tracks with vocals on it 2 or 3 months before we even started on it, which really isn't that much time to get prepared. But so I sent all 7 songs to him, and we just kind of shared notes. And then when we got in there, they pretty much stick to the same song structure, and we just built the songs musician by musician.
The reason it's pretty cool to know that you're working on a project like this, because I have been honored to be able to play with you, and so have other musicians, because you've done a variety of styles throughout the years. When I met you, we did Dempsey. Shout out to Dempsey. We did Dempsey together. But before that, you were already doing something a little harder.
Yeah.
Then you did Dempsey, and then you were into Radio Republic. Mm-hmm. And then you did Throttle Body, which you still do now.
Yeah.
So how was the transition from rocking and rolling to an acoustic guitar for you?
Well, so I started out playing acoustic guitar. So my guitar teacher was Leon Gibbs at Sam Gibbs Music. So I started when I was 8 with him, playing, standards with him. Yeah. So like the original we did like a senior citizen circuit. So we would play the Petrolia Senior Citizens and the Henrietta Senior Citizens, center, and and
is this when you were younger? Or
I was 8, 9, and 10. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did that. It was, they loved they didn't care what I sounded like. It's just,
you're okay, man.
I mean, who knows if they could even hear it, but no, and that's kind of how I, kind of cut my teeth doing that. And then when I started, getting into my teens and more angsty, then I started, listening to metal, and that's when I,
What turned you on at first? Like the first thing that made you say, "Man, I'm gonna pick up an electric. Let's do this."
Man, I think well, it was just I think so. It didn't go full. You know, I was pretty much primarily listening to country music because that's what my mom and dad listened to. Yeah. My dad was way into Grand Funk Railroad and I mean, good rock and roll, but I didn't get into that because it was his, it's my dad's thing.
Yeah.
And so I think the first couple, cassettes and maybe some CDs I got Hootie and the Blowfish, Cracked Rear View,
rock and roll.
Yeah, and then I the Wallflowers.
These are all like 90s, mid-90s stuff. Yeah.
And so that's what kind of turned me on to...
Rock was still very much, in popular music at that time.
Yeah,
very
it was. And where I lived, we could pick up 94.5, The Edge out of Dallas.
The Edge.
Yeah. So, I talked my mom into taking me to Edge Fest in 97. Like me and two, but
was that the year Toadies were there?
No,
I don't know how I know that.
No, I think so. It was either 96 or 97, and if anyone's listening and cares, you can fact check this, or anyone watches. But it was In Excess. Beck was touring on the Odelay album, so he still had his horn section and was like, he was still dancing,
doing the dancing on stage.
Yeah, it was great. And Matchbox 20.
Killer. This is cool, man.
Yeah, it was really fun. And who else? There was a band called Cowboy Mouth.
I remember Cowboy Mouth.
Yeah, they played, and their vocalist was their drummer.
Yeah.
So
they came to a college station around that time, and I'd seen them.
They were intense.
Yeah,
man.
they were pretty good, man. They were crazy.
And who else? Ben Folds 5 played that.
What? That's crazy. The original lineup for
the three dudes.
Oh,
yeah, it was
that's
great.
amazing.
Yeah, because they were touring on was it Whatever and Ever.
Whatever, Never, Amen around there.
Yeah,
that's really killer.
So that was kind of my introduction into like pop rock.
Yeah.
Right. As my cousin gave me Metallica's Black Album.
That'll do it, man.
And then I got a hold of he liked Primus as well.
Yeah.
So
you're working with some of the guys around town. You did you do the VFW routes? A lot of bands were doing that.
Yeah. So the guys I was in a band with were kind of they kind of blazed that trail, I guess.
Yeah.
So that band, just a quick history. I didn't just start in like a good band. I was in really terrible bands. So I think we all. Can you?
Oh man,
yeah. So I was in a high school band, and then right out of that, I kind of got into a real band. That's when I tried out for. You and I both played with Mike Hardison, the drummer, who's in Throttle Body now.
Yes.
And it was his band, Headthorn, that I tried out for and got that gig. So,
cool. Yeah, and that's when y'all started playing together.
That was and I was 18 then.
How old were you when we started playing together?
What year was it?
It
07?
It was a while, but yeah, I'd say around then.
So over 10. So I was like 20
something, yeah.
20, yeah.
It's funny because I remember Mike calling me and saying, we want to start a band, and he told me the lineup, and I was like, man, that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
And then I remember telling him I'm pretty difficult to work with, and he goes, "Oh, great, so am I."
Yeah. Yeah.
So it worked out perfectly.
Yeah, and I think both of you may still be kind of difficult to work with, but it's not the same now, though.
I think the reason why it was difficult for us to work is because we were very we had a lot of opinions on where music should go, and he definitely, and I never worked with a drummer that had opinions on where the song should go, and that was weird, but it was also like I took it in. I knew he was going to be that way. And to be honest with you, I think me and him both realized we loved working with people that liked that. Just other people didn't like it because they took it personally, or whenever you said like, "Oh, I really want to try to spice that up," or "That's not really working," or "What about this?" There was no egos involved because I knew that's how he worked. And he warned me, and that was probably the best thing about it.
And he's such a good composer.
Yeah.
That you just.
It's weird from a drummer. You usually don't see that many drummers with that much input.
Sure.
And I remember, I wouldn't make it to a practice, and I'd come back and be like, "We totally changed all the songs."
Yeah.
I'd come up with ideas.
We've got notes for you.
Yeah, so I'd have to catch up. And it was great, though. It was a good learning experience. To Throttle Body, band that you're playing with now, cool, driving rock and roll through and through. And out of that, because you just released your album with Throttle Body, like not even a year ago, right?
No, yeah.
What was this?
Late
of 2019?
Yeah.
Probably
late. It was late last year.
Yeah. And now, less than a year later, you're already releasing Treading Water. So let's talk a little bit about that. You said you had some influences in country music to start off with. So that was a good backbone in what you were doing.
Sure.
This style that you're doing right now is a little diverse in a Southern kind of, with a Southern attitude, I would say. So who were some of your influences whenever you were going into this album that kind of helped you figure out what you wanted to do with some of this?
Man, I really think not country, but like I've always just worshipped Tom Petty.
Oh,
And
yeah.
So like, some of my first influences were like in country that were popular at the time were, I don't even know what it's just pop country, like Sammy Kershaw,
Yeah.
and just stuff like that, that I don't think get enough. I mean, they probably do get enough credit, but as far as I'm concerned, nobody's talking. And then like a ton of Garth Brooks, but I don't sound like that.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's good. And like, my mom used to blare Diamond Rio and
Diamond Rio.
like
definitely.
Little Texas and
Little Texas?
yeah.
These are on the back. They'd be in the back of your mind when you're writing.
Yeah,
They might not
absolutely.
be right there in the front, so that you're trying to emulate what they're doing.
Sure.
But I know exactly what you're talking
yeah.
about.
It's just kind of that foundation.
When I listened to this album, I noticed your title track, "Treading Water," sounded so much like 1100 Springs. It had a fun vibe. It was very honky tonk.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then it's funny because you immediately take them for a turn in the second song. But do you listen to some 1100 Springs? Did you just kind of know that was a style that you were going to go into for
absolutely. Yeah, I love Matt, and I've always liked 1100 Springs. And we actually, in Radio Republic, we played a couple shows with 1100 Springs. Not that has anything to do with their influence on me, but yeah, I love that type of music, and and Asleep at the Wheel. And
the second tune, I'll talk about that one, Lucky Ones. That one has more of a soulful sound. You're remembering on good old times.
Yeah.
And it's got a great vibe to it. When did you start coming up with that kind of vibe? How did you know that that'll be acceptable for this?
That song, so that was the first song I finished out of this set of songs, which was like maybe 3 years ago, right? I finished that song, and it always kind of just had this bouncy but flow. It kind of had a good flow to it. So when I was gonna record it, I almost didn't. I almost didn't do that song.
I can understand because it's just a little bit.
Yeah,
it's a little bit different, so you think maybe it's not going to fit with what's going on.
Right. Yeah, but I think it fits. It finds its place on the.
Yeah, maybe, and it's cool because it's a little bit of a turn, but maybe it's the accompaniment of the musicians that you were playing with.
Yeah.
And it really helped kind of solidify all of it together.
Sure.
So if you get a chance, check out number 2, but not before checking out number 1, because number 1, I don't know why. It's cool to hear them both back to back because it's kind of a.
And they're honestly, both of those songs are different than the others,
Than the other tunes.
Yeah, I mean, this is a album of songs. It's not like it's not a
cohesive one thing. Yeah.
And it is, but it's not, it's so, you kind of get a different thing with every song, which I'm proud of. But but I think Treading Water kind of sets the tone for the album. Yeah. Because it is kind of playful and,
Definitely.
Yeah.
I dug Dust. And the reason why I liked it was because, and I could be wrong, and I hate it if I'm wrong, but it reminded me of how you write, which is you write riffs sometimes.
Yeah.
And so that riff, I really dig the riff in it.
Cool.
And
Thanks.
it really is the lead and kind of the centerpiece of the song. So did you, whenever you're writing into the music, whenever you're writing this style of music, do you just say to yourself, I'm still going to do riffs?
No. I got asked the same question this morning by a friend, and he asked, what's your approach? And now, for Throttle Body, it's the same way. I either have what I think is a good idea for lyrical content, and I build off of that, and I kind of work around the vibe I want, or I'll have what I think is a good melody, and I'll build off of that before I even pick up a guitar.
Okay.
And that way, and I have a good friend, Eb Stewart, who kind of pushed me in this direction. Like, I'm not that great of a guitar player, so if I have an idea in my head, my playing has to rise to my idea.
Yeah.
Rather than dumbing my idea down to my ability.
Makes sense.
So I mean, that's kind of where
that one came through. Now the funny part about this is you had been showing me some. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That song, because you said the way I used to write, that Dust is in 13/8, like 13/8 time signature. It's a weird.
Still making up words.
Yeah,
that's
that
not
doesn't
real.
even make sense.
You
That's
used,
not
no,
even a thing.
whenever we used to be in a band together, I always talk about this, how much y'all knew about timing, and I still don't. And
Well, it's really irrelevant. It's like, does it feel good? You know, it
that would
doesn't
be what
matter.
you'd always
Yeah.
say, because you would say like that's not in, I don't know,
4/4,
4/4,
yeah.
and I would be like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like I don't understand that stuff. I just know. And I think one time you told me, well, that song's in 7/8 or something like
Yeah.
that, where I was like, oh. Okay, I don't know what that
Yeah,
means
doesn't
either.
matter.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter to
Yeah.
me. I just know that it sounds cool when I play it. But that's really awesome, man. I do want to say that you have been kind of unraveling the album to me slowly but surely. We've got to go to your work, Rambling Company. That's in downtown Wichita Falls if you get a chance. And you would slowly kind of show me the album. And one of the songs you showed me, which I couldn't wait to get to when I listened to this because I wanted to hear the final version, is Horn Section. This is the fun tune on the album. What's funny is I went to, I think it was last summer, I went to Mexico for the first time on a cruise. And whenever you showed me this, all I could think about is me being in Mexico. It really did kind of sell it. Like the whole song, it was funny because when I was there, I would took my cell phone out and I just press record when I'd hear these people playing horns. I just thought it sounded so good and I wanted to do something with that style. So I just kept recording it. And whenever you showed me the final version, I was like, dude, it sounds like I'm there again.
Yeah.
It was really cool. So
Yeah.
I know this is a funny tongue-in-cheek song. How did you come up with the tune? What
Man,
made you want to write it?
So I was listening to, and I think it was the album Banquet. But I was listening to Max Stalling's Banquet
Oh,
album.
cool. Yeah.
And I don't remember what song, but
It just inspired you.
there
like,
was
I
a
love the
song.
horns.
No, I said it to I was with Taylor Labrum
Okay.
at the time, and we were listening to it, and I was like, "Excuse me, Max, but your horn section is." I said it, and I was like,
Redirection.
and so I wrote it. I was like, "Wait, hold on." So I had to let him finish what he was doing, and I went and penciled the whole song.
Yes.
And yeah, so
Max Stalling is another one of those guys that when he starts singing, you just have to shut up and listen.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you
it's
just
great.
yeah.
He's never written a bad song.
I said the same thing not but a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago. I'd never heard a bad Max Stalling song.
No, there's no such thing.
Solid lyrics.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you're going for, and they're just amazing. But
Yeah.
was it the one where he gets drunk in Mexico and declares, "I'm drunk"?
I can't
Because do you have anything to declare?
No, I don't remember the song. I'll have to go back and listen, and I know it'll spark the same
Oh yeah, yeah. The same reaction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, yeah, we've been sitting here talking with Ryan Hager about his brand new album, Treading Water. You can grab that at Spotify right now.
Yeah, iTunes. It's on. It's everywhere.
Everywhere. Before I take off, I want to just say or ask you, who are you playing with right now? Whenever we start going live with everything, who's going to be on your lineup?
So the band, man, and I got. So what I did just to. So when I recorded the album, I used all these studio musicians, and part of my intention is to use this album as bait to get, good guys. Yeah. Do you want to play? You want to play some of this
Play
stuff?
some of that,
Yeah.
baby.
So I got Taylor. I approached first, and he hung in there with us for a little bit, but he plays with Clint Vines in the hard times. So they were busy at the time, and so Taylor. I was just like, man, just do your thing. So it worked out that I had reconnected with Joe Cortez, who played with Johnny Cooper,
Amazing drummer.
Yeah, he played with Bart Crow, and also I'm forgetting one, Blue Edmondson. And so he was ready to kind of start doing something again. So I conned him into playing with me, and then also Chris Booth is playing bass. And he played with Cody Shaw and the Rhythm Boys. Yeah. And he's played with a ton of good musicians, too. I mean, if I started listing these guys' resume, we'd be here for a while.
Yeah,
but,
that backbeat is solid already.
Man,
That's a crazy solid backbeat.
They're a killer rhythm section, and they had never played together before. And it's pretty special. And then my guitar player he's amazing. His name is Coleman Hall. And I think this is only like the second or third project he's been in, and but man, he's like a Mark Knopfler type player. Just plays to the song and can like nail any part you show him, and he's just a killer guitar player. And then I've got a lap steel player. His name's Ross Harrison. We've known each other, for forever. And I was told through a mutual friend, they're like, Ross is a good lap steel player. No, he's not. I didn't know he played. And so what wound up happening, it was just divine intervention. The day I contacted Chris and I invited him to the Wichita Falls Brewery and I propositioned him about playing in this band, I shit you not, 5 minutes into our conversation, Ross comes up and sits down on my left. And I looked and I did a double take and I was like, I think I'm supposed to ask you if you want to play lap steel. Do you have time? He's like, yeah, sure.
That's all it took?
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, man, that's crazy cool. Yeah. Guys are struggling out there years to create a band. That's good, man. I'm so happy for you. I'm glad that you got the band together. Whenever all this gets back to normal, hopefully we can make it to a show, man. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys live.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Yeah, and I just got all my online stuff. Man, that stuff drives me nuts. But if anybody's bored enough, on RyanHagerMusic.com.
Cool.
And all the links and everything.
All the links will be there. Please go check out his music. It's brand new on Spotify right now. Treading Water. That's what you're looking for Ryan Hager. Man, thank you so much for joining me in the studio.
Thanks for having me, man. This has been a pleasure.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for joining the Shed Quarters.
Yeah.
The what is it?
Shedward Norton?
Shedward James Omos.
Yeah.
Before we leave, we're going to go ahead and do a live performance with Ryan Hager right here in the studio. So thanks again for joining us, man.
Yeah, no problem. Good. Was a cafe on the corner where they used to meet. Always seemed crowded, but we'd find a seat. Chat over coffee in the smoke-filled air. I never said much, but they didn't seem to care. Flip a coin to see who was gonna pay. Do the same thing that very next day. Never got old, I don't think it could. Was a company that made that coffee taste so good. Miss those days when we just hang around. And I miss that sleepy town. We were the lucky ones. Hey, the lucky ones. On the back porch, passing that bottle around. Steel belts that hum towards the north of town. We blow them smoke rings when it got too late. Slow flow traffic, seal our fate. We just talk about how we wouldn't hang around. This wasn't our kind of town. We were the lucky ones. Hey, the lucky ones. Like lightning bugs drifting towards the moon. Highway take us away too soon. We come back every now and then. It's good to see the faces of our friends. We've been thinking we might just hang around. The truth is, we don't deserve this town.